Hi, my name is Chrissy Clements. Everyone watches accesstv.org.
Welcome to the second series of Education One. We have a guy that unbelievable from the 4th Senate District of Manchester, Bolton, Glastonbury, and Marlborough. His name is Steve Cassano, and he's a major mover and shaker of this area of the east of the river. Senator Cassano, tell me a little something about your background.
Well, my father was a fisherman, so I grew up all over the East Coast, and went to very, very small schools most of my time. I grew up in Nantucket, Provincetown, places like that.
Right.
I came to Manchester, and Manchester Community College was just opening.
Okay.
It was the greatest opportunity for me, I think, that I've ever experienced in my lifetime. It changed my life, gave me a direction. Had no idea what I wanted to do, how I was going to do it. I was working at Pratt & Whitney third shift and going to school days, and I recognized how significant education was. I was fortunate to go back there, earn my master's and my bachelor's in 2 years, and went back to MCC as a professor. Okay. And what I've experienced in 28 years in teaching there has been both wonderful and extremely difficult at the same time.
What did you teach at Manchester?
I was a sociologist.
Okay.
And so I had, I had people programs, people courses. I had students, it's traditional social problems courses and intro to social. I had law enforcement, social workers, and so on, and courses like social deviancy and organization. So I had a real mix of students, many who were highly prepared and ready to go on to the future and knew where they were going. Others that could, some could hardly read or write.
So you would say that you have a grasp of inner city kids.
Absolutely. Manchester, whether people like to hear it or not, Manchester is the 15th largest city in the state of Connecticut.
Okay.
It has all of the problems of a city. It's just the way things are. And we haven't dealt with those problems as city problems.
The educational system in Manchester, how are you actually tackling it right now?
Well, from the state level, we just try and provide assistance. From an individual level and somebody that's dealt with education, my biggest concern, my concern statewide, is that we have various areas of education, aspects of education, but everyone is a kingdom within itself. You have private day school, you have private kindergarten, private preschool, public preschool. There is no correlation as to what goes on in those preschool programs with elementary school programs. There's no continuity, so that every grade, once you get into an elementary school, there's probably continuity from the first to the second grade or whatever it might be, but there doesn't seem to be a system that says we're going to start here at preschool and end up in high school and be a fully educated person at that point of view. Everything is kind of step by step and sometimes almost overwhelming because there are so many that need so much direction and help that they get lost in the system.
I read in your newspaper in Manchester, I can't think of it right now, but that the Board of Education had a meeting last week. It was Tuesday or Wednesday of last week, and the focus was Manchester High School. And I know that they have a new principal.
Right.
And I know you guys are crying out for help. What can a company like MC Square, a company that I know a lot about, can come and help you guys?
Well, I love the focus that you have on math and science. We need to begin at a much earlier age, number one, in dealing with math and science. We can't expect students who have no basic math skills to become freshmen in high school and do algebra, chemistry, biology, and all the other kinds of things that require an interchange of understanding science and math. And I mean, it's not Manchester, it's this country. This country has changed the way we've done things. You know, for our grandparents, to go to school was an absolute.
Right.
To do homework, to learn was an absolute. They wanted us to have an opportunity as we grew up. We've lost that drive. And that's a very, very serious concern. And we see that right here in the Manchesters, the Hartfords, the Merediths of Connecticut.
I know 30 years ago and 30 years later, the present day, apparently it seems like it's more politics than education. Would you agree with me?
There's a lot of politics. One of the things that you have is you have discontinuity because you have, every 2 years, a Board of Education is elected. You know, if you have a new Board of Education every 2 years, you lose any kind of evolution of programs.
Right.
Because as soon as a new chair comes in, it's going to be that chair's direction and so on. The system should be bigger than the boards themselves. The leadership from the system should be. The changeover in superintendents across Connecticut right now is high. Quality replacements, there aren't a lot. The challenge of becoming a superintendent is becoming so overwhelming that very, very few people even want to take that challenge.
Right.
I mean, when I started teaching, you'd have thought, someday I want to be a college president, or if you were in education, you wanted to become a superintendent or principal.
Right.
No way. Nobody wants to touch it because the challenges are so dramatic. The challenges used to be we had academics, we had to learn.
Right.
Today, as a superintendent or a principal, you have to be a father, a mother, a policeman, an academic, a team builder. You have to do all these kinds of things, and it's just so overwhelming that your life is gone.
What we're trying to do through Manchester and MC Square Technology, we're trying to actually take a core of, I know right now the school is 50% black, 50% white. And I know as Manchester have changed within the last 20, 25 years.
Yes.
Because it was really actually predominantly all white. All right. What's happening right here to me is that if we can actually start a core of, say that we take the failing kids and sort of go backwards, they'll go forward, and actually build up some type of camaraderie between MC Square, some other nonprofits, and the teachers. It's not so much about money with MC Square, but it's actually success. Now, at MC Square, we know quite a few people that have funding. But if we can build a model, and there's 15 plus towns that actually in Connecticut that is failing. I've been to Bridgeport, I've been to the New Havens, and the Willimantics, and so forth, Waterbury's. But there's no continuity, as you say.
Right.
But if we can actually build a special model to show the other towns of actually dropout factories or failing schools, then I think we can actually get funding from not so much from Connecticut, from the Greenwiches or the Stanfords or the New Canaans, but actually from Washington. Now, last year or this year, I know Arnie Duncan came and sort of grandfathered us in. I don't think that was really a good thing to do in a sense, because we still have a long way to go.
Yes.
But I guess because of the Race to the Top fund of trying to get funding, I think that's why he did it. But other than that, in the last 3.5 years, and stop me if I'm wrong, Senator Cassano, we wasn't going to get any Race to the Top funds.
No, and the reality is, the Race to the Top is a wonderful program, but a lot of it starts at the top.
Right.
We're failing by not providing the basic math that should be available first, second, third grade. If they get to the 6th and 7th grade and they have no math skills, they're lost in the system. education, higher education, middle education is designed on having those base skills.
Exactly.
And too many of our students are coming through without having the base skills.
Well, when I first started MC Square, my mom asked me before she passed away. And because I had a good education. I lived in the inner city, but I had a support system around me.
Mm-hmm.
She said, do not deal with the smart kids. Deal with the kids that are failing or whatever. They used to come to our house. So when we started MC Square, we dealt with the kids on a 2.0, maybe 2.5. If we took these kids for 3 years and actually built a model of, okay, this is math, science, and reading, but what do you really like? We can build around that to keep the peak going or the interest going within, because if you're trying to teach apples and oranges, it's not going to work. So we have like 4 or 5 basic programs that's centered around math and science and financial literacy, because most inner city kids really don't have any money or don't have the wherewithal as we do. So I, in the last 12 years, and others of 32 people, plus actually the producer of the show went out and says, this is what we need to do for kids like in the north end of Hartford or in Manchester or East Hartford, stuff like that. And it's really unique that a person like yourself that came on the show this week, because I know that's where your passion is, where your heart is at.
Yeah, one of the changes we have to make is we can't look at math as math, nor can we look at science as science. Math means buying a candy bar or getting a book or going to the movie theaters. And I mean, we have to take these base courses and apply them to daily life. Saving money, spending money. A lot of schools now are doing things like that, where everybody has X number of dollars to invest, and all of a sudden they're investing money and trying to make money. Maybe it's not money that they own, but they're working to try to do it. They're doing math, and they don't understand that.
Exactly.
I have started a public safety high school. One of the things that we're trying to do is we want everybody to come out of there to be cross-trained. Police, fire, Homeland Security, medical, all those kinds of things. But you have to think outside of your own box. You have to be able to fit in each of the boxes if you're going to be fully qualified when you come out of there as a public safety graduate. And we don't do that in math. We do math is a number, math is a this, math is a that. Bring it into the daily life and make it something that people understand, because they use it every day without realizing it.
I think the educational system actually turned math and have kids looking at it as a phobia, because when you come in, they freeze up and they shy away from it. Because I know between the 8th and the 10th grade, that's the biggest dropout rate.
Sure. Yeah.
Right now, I know Connecticut is hovering. Most of the towns that are failing is between 48 and 52. We came down from 70 in Hartford, but it's still high, and I know it's climbing again. So this is something that at MC Square or other people that actually support MC Square is taking a real hard look at. And we're trying to actually take the politics out and bring in the academia stuff to make sure that people look at, these are kids are failing. These are the kids we're building jails for, and I'm not looking to put any type of child in jail.
We will spend more money than if we educated them correctly, they wouldn't be there in the first place.
Right.
And let's look a little at that political system, because what happens is that children of the word physics petrifies students.
Exactly.
You mentioned the dropout rate. I'm sick and tired of hearing high schools say that we graduated 98% of our students, 95% of our students, without telling us that 46% of the students dropped out between grade 9 and grade 12. So, but of all of those left, 96 or 97%, that doesn't do anybody any favors. That's deceitful. And what it really does, when you look at the numbers that are dropping out, you see the number of people are going to be without jobs, without a direction, and so on. That focus has to change. Those numbers have to change. And that's a concern.
We're going to take a break. We're going to pay some bills.
Okay.
And we'll be right back.
My name is Brian Johnson, and I'm here today to talk about the challenge. I guess what I would like to know from America or the Hartford area is what is the problem and what is the solution? Which is bigger when we discuss the challenge? What we're trying to figure out what's wrong or what we're trying to solve? Is it a philosophical difference that we have amongst our people, or is it a practical difference? Throughout our neighborhoods, many of us can't read or write. If we can't read or write, that prevents us from thinking critically. So we are at a disadvantage coming into this game. So we challenge you to think about some of those things. And through the course of our challenge, we're going to present you with some information that we hope gets you to think about yourself and the community in which you live, and what your role is and how you can help affect change in that community.
Hi, I'm Lori, your host of Up to Date, a calendar show that features all the greatest activities in current events that are taking place in our greater Hartford community. In the coming week, all you have to do is visit accesstv.org and you will be able to find out what's going on without having to look all over to find it. We'll have it all there for you. So get ready, there's a lot of information to share. Grab paper, pen, and sit back, because you know you're going to love it, because now you won't have to look to find all this information. We got it covered.
Welcome back. We have a gentleman here from the 4th Senate District of Connecticut. His name is Steve Cassano, and we're talking about education. As we left off, Senator Cassano, what is some of the remedies you think we can do to help? And we're just going to pinpoint just Manchester, because that's your strong point. You've been there. What can we do to help Manchester, Connecticut?
Well, I'll focus on Manchester. Just recently, in fact, met with a new high school principal.
Okay.
I think he's young, he's aggressive, he's got tremendous respect. He's not afraid of doing things differently. It's an unusual situation that we have, is we have a superintendent of schools that has a 2-year contract, but he's only temporary.
Okay.
So we don't have that, quote, full-time superintendent, but the superintendent, Dick Kissel, is one of the best. He's been at Bridgeport, Avon, and so on. He understands education and so on. So in that situation, it's probably a good thing to have that kind of knowledge and experience, because we have to start to do some things differently. We have the traditional racial imbalance issues, which are a problem. We have schools that are 100 years old that are being closed. Those schools obviously are in the oldest of our neighborhoods. It changes the quality of life for students in those neighborhoods. We have a very, very quickly changing population. We have many non-English speaking new members of the population. We need to address the needs of all of the various parts of our community and still build an education system at the same time.
Maybe an idea I can give you. At MC Square, we worked out of a small community church, and we had a diversity of, just as you speak, Puerto Rican, we had some Laotians, we had some different people. What we ended up doing, we did an after-school program, something different each day. And what the church did, they actually went out and raised money within their own community. Now, these are poor people now, mind you, but the 5 and the 50 cents and the dollars and stuff like that, even the guys that was even out in the street donated to do Temple of God. And we did a series of different items each day, each week. Quite naturally, they came to church on Sunday. It wasn't forced, it wasn't mandatory, because it was a Pentecostal church. By rights, I'm Catholic, but still I respect each religion. But if we can actually take it up a notch, saying that we identify out of the 2,000 kids I think is in the school, let's identify the real failing kids. Because again, if they don't make it past the 9th grade, they're gone. Let's look at actually the kids that are doing well and say, let's build a program for them to keep their mind going or what their interests going. And last, let's do something else for the kids that actually are above the 2.5 or the 3.0. Because again, if we just zoom in only on the kids that are failing, the kids that are actually doing well, they may leave also and go somewhere else. So it's like a 3-tier system.
Right.
And I'm hoping that between your office or yourself, the principal and the superintendent, we all can sit down and try to come to a common goal in trying to actually do this. What we do at MC Square is actually do a 3-year pilot program. The first year we evaluate it 4 different ways. And if it meets the 80-85% approval, we move on into the next 2 years. And then we have the next class coming right behind that. So we have anywhere between 25 and 35 kids keep coming behind each 6 months. By the end of the 4 years or 3.5 years, we'll probably have anywhere between 200 to 300 kids. Then we have a real expensive summer program that we can include everyone, because we can't, you have to build in blocks.
You gotta have a summer program.
Right.
Or
You gotta have a summer.
you lose everything you've gained if
Exactly.
you don't have a summer program.
So our summer program is very expensive, but one thing about it, it encompasses the whole body of the whole school. Maybe one day we can sit down very shortly, the period's coming, because it's coming to Thanksgiving, that we can actually map out exactly a roadmap to how to actually help out Manchester High School.
To me, it sounds like you're willing to do things differently.
You have to think out of the box.
And that's gotta be done.
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to be at a meeting with Bill Gates, who gives billions of dollars away. And Bill Gates made it very clear, I don't want people to do the same old thing, I want people to do differently. One of the things I mentioned today is parents. It is extremely difficult. If I got a little first grader named Joey whose mother cannot speak or write English, and I'm sending Joey to an English-speaking school system, Joey's mother can't do anything to help him. And I've often asked, why can't we have education where, in fact, Joey can go to school, but we can be working with the parents at the same time? Why can't we do that team building that the parents are learning, which will put them into a workforce, which will allow them to support their children, and their kids will learn at the same time. But parents stay home who can't speak English, and their kids go into a system who can't speak English, and they're lost. And we do not have the bilingual programs that are going to allow these kids to succeed and so on. So these kids are struggling from day one.
I think the only program I know that is actually universal, and I think they have the best educational program, which is private, is the UN.
Okay.
And about 5 years ago, you have 165 nations. The thing about it is, everyone goes to school. Everyone's protected, because it's diplomatic, kids and all that. But these kids learn from other kids, and they learn a different language. We have to do things different.
Right.
And we cannot stay stagnant in politics and who's getting more money, who's not getting more money. It's mad.
Sure it is.
You know,
And education has to be fun.
That's
the other thing. I mean, you show up at 8:30 in the morning, you sit at your desk, and then we change from this subject to that subject to that subject. You're lucky if you can get up and go to the bathroom. You got to eat. You go through this day after day. That's a grueling process. That stinks. I mean, that's not what a kid wants. It's got to be fun. It's got to be open. It's got to be entertaining. But it's got to be tied into everyday life.
Right.
And so if you connect math to going to the movies, buying that bag of popcorn and this and that and so on, I mean, that's enough to make them really know what it is to be broke if you go to the movies once. I mean, just taking and bringing reality in, daily life in. We don't do that. We have math formulas. We have tests that have to be passed.
Right.
So we teach towards those tests so that they succeed.
Right.
But they can't take what they're learning and applying it to their daily life.
What I like to do, if it's possible, and maybe we can do something, I like to do a live show at Manchester High School. Hopefully we can work out the nuts and bolts through the principal and superintendent, because we can't move forward without their approval. But we can do a live show with 2,000 kids, and we bring out the whole studio and do an hour show. Maybe sometime at the end of the year, maybe next year. But we're running out of time, and hopefully we can actually do this again, Senator Cassano. I really thank you for coming. And this subject is not going to go away. This is something that we at MC Square, and hopefully with your help, we can actually pull some things together before the year is out. Because we have funding right now on the sideline, and I'm pretty sure you spoke to other people other than Mr. Dale, and we're just actually in a holding pattern, which is...
We've got to move forward. And I
Yeah.
did make arrangements. Mr. Dale has met with the superintendent. He has met with the principal. They're
Right.
both on board.
Right.
And when you say we're running out of time, we're running out of time here today because the program's almost over.
Right.
But America's running out of time if it doesn't start to regroup and remember. It used to be number one in everything. We're number 18, 20, 22 in just about everything today. We do not lead the world anymore.
we don't.
And we need to get that back. We need to start to have some pride in our school system. We got to start to make sure kids move forward. They're a part of the society. And I think groups like yours are going to help us do that. We
Right.
appreciate you doing this.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Next week, we have the MC Square kids, and we have one special guest within the group next week. His name is Marcus Harris. He's one of my special kids in communications at Central Connecticut State University in New Britain, and he's going to bring exactly his insight and foresight of communications, and we're going to show success of how a kid actually left the inner city of Boston and how he's going to be actually one of the leading entrepreneurs in the next 3 to 4 years. If it's Tuesday, it's Education One. Thank you, and I see you next week.
Great.